Now on Sunrise and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, the last day to early vote in the May election is here. We'll tell you what's on the ballot. And one community is reeling after a deadly incident at an after-school program, what witnesses are saying about the horrific crash. And a new partnership means big changes for Nursery ISD students, where they'll be headed after 7th grade. We have the story.
And you could probably take a guess what the weather's going to be like for the next couple days. Take a hint, it's still warm and still breezy out there, but if that's not your style, we still have rain chances later this week, and they've been increased. All that weather coming up.
And UHV Baseball is ready to begin Red River Athletic Conference tournament play action this Thursday. Find out who they're playing here from one of the star pitchers coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning, Crossroads, and happy Tuesday. Hope you're enjoying the start of your week, or almost to the midpoint.
Yeah, we're almost to the midpoint, second day of the week, and it's about 6:30, almost 6:31 on your Tuesday. It's humid.
Parker, if we have plans to have some food this weekend, it's Cinco de Mayo weekend.
That's right, it is.
Is it going to be a good or bad plan to do that outside?
I don't know if I have the best news for y'all if you have some Cinco de Mayo lovers out there, because it's looking like we're going to have rain chances coming back into the picture. And of course, we're going to talk about that later on Sunrise, because first things first, if you're tuning in with us this morning on your Tuesday, look alive in Victoria. We actually got a nice pretty sunrise coming over the coast this morning, but it is pretty cloudy out there, kind of inhibiting that viewing. 72 right now, and that's actually bringing us some warm weather as well. That's why we're starting out at 72 in Victoria, and it's also bringing us some high humidity. That's why the dew point's at 71, bringing us humidity of 97% this morning. And also thanks to the Gulf wind, which is right now sustained between 10 to 15 miles an hour, and gusts this morning have been reported at about 20 at times, providing us with mixing, so no need to worry about fog this morning. But the warm weather, it is continuous with all of us. We're all in the low mid 70s, even upper 70s along the immediate coast next to that warm Gulf water. And the rest of Texas is following suit with temperatures in the 70s and 60s. So if you're sending your kiddos out the door this morning, it's going to be just like it is right now, warm and humid out there. And it'll be the very same in the afternoon, only added on top of it, it'll be breezy. We'll have all those details coming up next.
Today is the last day to vote early in the May 3rd election. In Victoria, voters will decide on a venue tax that would fund a portion of revenue needed for community center renovations. If passed, the venue tax will create a new 5% vehicle rental tax and raise the hotel occupancy tax from 7 to 9%. The renovations to the community center would include a new event arena and upgrades to the existing building. Victoria voters will also decide the mayoral race and 2 Victoria ISD school board seats. Bloomington residents will be voting whether or not to incorporate the town. You can vote early at the Dr. Patty Dotson Public Health Center from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or on Election Day, Saturday, May 3rd. To see a list of local races, go to CrossroadsToday.com. Victoria police are looking into the death of a 28-year-old man found Sunday morning. Officers were called to the 1400 block of Mimosa Avenue for a welfare check, where they found the body of Sostones Martinez. An autopsy has been ordered, but police haven't shared further details. It remains an active investigation. A West Central Texas school principal was indicted on a charge of continuous sexual abuse of a child under the age of 14. Authorities say 58-year-old Kenneth Wade Wallace was tracked from his home in Valera and arrested in Cuero on April 11th. The indictment shows the allegations against him happened between November 2022 and December 2024. Wallace worked in several school districts and was most recently listed as principal at Panther Creek Consolidated ISD. He's out on bond and was ordered to have no contact with children. The district hasn't responded to our request for comment. Cardinals on Monday set May 7th as the start date for the conclave to elect Pope Francis's successor. The Cardinals set the date after arriving for the first day of informal meetings following Pope Francis's funeral Saturday. The conclave could have opened earlier, but the Cardinals gave themselves extra time to speak in more informal sessions that include cardinals over the age of 80. Of the 135 cardinal electors, 108 of whom were appointed by Francis, they don't know each other very well. The last 20 were appointed in early December. Now to a tragedy in a small Illinois town. A car driving through an after-school program, leaving several dead.
This morning, tragedy in a suburb of Springfield, Illinois. A vehicle crashing through an after-school center, killing 4 people.
I walked up towards the park, and a man stated that There was numerous bodies covered by tarps already.
Images from the scene show a massive hole in both sides of the building used by local students for summer camps. Witnesses say the vehicle entered on one side and exited through the other.
There's a perfect entry hole and a perfect exit hole, almost like a bullet wound would be.
Police say 3 of the victims were outside the building and a 4th was inside, all of them female, between the ages of 4 and 18. Several others were rushed to the hospital.
Kill some kids. Those are kids.
Oh no.
It was not immediately known what led to the crash. The driver of the vehicle was not injured, but was taken to the hospital for evaluation. Illinois' governor saying he is horrified and deeply saddened by the deaths of children and numerous injuries.
It is a very awesome community. Right now, everybody has a red ribbon on their stories and profiles. Chatham Strong. It's going to take a long time to get through this one, I think.
Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
House Republicans are moving to stop efforts to investigate Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's controversial use of Signal. Democrats on the House Armed Service Committee want to force a resolution of inquiry during a meeting today. It would call on President Trump and Hegseth to turn over all communications about military operations against the Houthis that were shared on Signal. Failing to block the resolution would trigger a vote before the full House. However, GOP leaders tucked a provision into a rule that will come to the floor today. It effectively denies Democrats from forcing that vote. This afternoon, the Calhoun County ISD Board will hold a special meeting over a proposal to grant a tax break of over $248 million to ExxonMobil. The tax break is tied to ExxonMobil's plan to build a new petrochemical plant called an ethane cracker in Calhoun County near the Formosa Plastics plant. In return for the $248 million tax breaks, ExxonMobil proposes to create 300 jobs, meaning the agreement would cost Texas taxpayers over $828,000 for every job promised. The meeting is set for 5 p.m. Students in the Nursery ISD will have a different path through later school grades. It comes after a new agreement with the Victoria ISD. Nursery ISD serves students through 6th grade. After that, students have traditionally moved on to Cuero ISD or another district chosen by their parents. When Cuero ISD decided not to renew its automatic transfer agreement, Nursery ISD turned to Victoria ISD. The two districts have now finalized a new partnership. Superintendent Larry Gajewski says this is a great time to team up with Victoria. He's also focused on giving students more opportunities.
We care about our kids holistically. We want to ensure that they have the opportunity to go out and perform.
Nursery ISD is also now expanding to serve students through 7th grade, and with this partnership, Victoria ISD will accept students in grades 8 through 12 starting the 2025-2026 school year. Remember, follow us on YouTube, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. The time now is 6:38 on our Tuesday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up next on 25 News Now Sunrise. $1 million on the table for a piece of Texas history, why some residents are saying history shouldn't have a price.
It is President Trump's 100th day in office, and the administration is facing pressure to calm the uncertainty around the economy. I'm Christiane Cordero with the latest from Washington coming up.
And also coming up next after the break and the short-term forecast, you heard me say it would be a bit breezy today. That's right. So coming up next, I'll tell you just how windy I think it'll be near you. Well, good morning, Crossroads, and happy Tuesday. You're looking live and cloudy, humid, warm, and slightly breezy Cuero. We're starting out the day at a nice warm 74 in Cuero, but dew point is still that high 3 degrees off of 71, bringing us that 91% humidity, which, like I said earlier, is enough to see fog, but we have a slight breeze blowing through right now, so don't worry about fog this morning. But the humidity is also high enough, and also thanks to a little bit of lift coming off the mountains with that low system over there, which we'll look at later. we actually have a couple sprinkles out there, which is right on the money for what I was forecasting all morning. A couple sprinkles kind of moving through our western counties right now, some of it through DeWitt County, and have a little bit west of Three Rivers as well. And actually looking at your future tracker here for the rest of the morning, I think that will continue. You can see a little bit of light showers, like very light sprinkles moving through the area in the morning time. And then that's going to cut off in the afternoon time. And same thing with the clouds. Those will be on the decrease today. I'm thinking down to partly cloudy skies, not mostly sunny like you can see right here, but something more like this, partly cloudy for the rest of the afternoon time. Before overnight tonight, we're going to be looking at right back to mostly cloudy and overcast skies. But underneath the clouds today, it's going to be pretty similar to yesterday actually in terms of temperatures. Highs temperatures already in the low 80s at noontime, but in the afternoon, thinking mid 80s again. But everybody's going to be at about a degree warmer. I'm thinking 86 in Victoria, 87 in Cuero, and about 84 today in Portland Vaca before overnight. The clouds will keep our lows in the low and mid 70s. But in the background, like I said earlier, it'll be a bit breezy, not too bad in the morning, gusts up to 20, but in the afternoon, but will be up to about 30 at times, up to 35 tomorrow, and that's going to bring us rain chances to work with later this week, and that's coming up next.
Good morning, Crossroads. UHV baseball is preparing to travel to Sterlington, Louisiana to play first-round action of Red River Athletic Conference tournament action versus Southwest Mustangs. And UHV heads into the postseason 37-13 overall and 22-8 in conference play. And Red River Athletic pitcher of the week, Julian Garcia, knows his team is special and is looking for a deep postseason run.
We had a great regular season. I couldn't be more proud of the guys. We set a school record. 3-0 this year against Division I teams, and it was just overall a special season. But we're far from done, and we have, like I said, all of our most important baseball in front of us. So we're locked in and ready for that.
Now Garcia was named Red River Athletic Conference Pitcher of the Week because he had 10 Ks versus LSU Alexandria, and also shout out to UHV softball player Audrey Cias finishing off also getting Red River Pitcher of the Week honors and helping the Lady Jags get their win over Hudson Tilliston this past weekend. For the softball team, they'll face Texas University San Antonio this Thursday in Louisiana. This is Max Williams, 25 News Now Sports.
We want to invite y'all to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. President Trump marks his 100th day in office today with the lowest job approval rating in decades, largely due to his handling of the economy so far. Trading partners now facing pressure to strike a deal ahead of looming shortages.
This morning, some economists are warning tariff-related shortages are on their way in the coming weeks as the trade war with China shows no signs of easing. Asset management firm Apollo forecasts container ships from China to U.S. ports could come to a stop by mid-May, followed by a halt in trucking demand, leading to empty store shelves. The firm predicts layoffs in the trucking and retail industries by early June and a recession this summer. In Los Angeles, the nation's busiest port expects to see imports drop by more than a third in the next 2 weeks. In a statement, the West Coast Dock Workers Union writes President Trump's tariffs are, quote, nothing more than a direct attack on the working class and should be opposed outright. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent telling CNBC it's China's responsibility to reach a trade deal with the U.S.
I've repeatedly said that I believe that it's up to China to de-escalate because they sell 5 times more to us than we sell to them.
China insists there are no talks on trade between President Trump and President Xi. A spokesperson for Beijing writing, let me make it clear one more time that China and the U.S. are not engaged in any consultation or negotiation on tariffs. But Trump and his administration suggest negotiations are underway, though has offered few details.
You said that you have spoken to President Xi. When did that happen? China says it hasn't happened.
I spoke to him numerous times.
Have you spoken to him since the tariffs? When did you last speak?
I don't want to comment on that, but I've spoken to him many times.
Trump's Commerce Secretary suggested the president today will ease some of the tariffs on auto imports, specifically foreign auto parts used on domestically made vehicles. Trump plans to deliver a speech in Michigan today to mark his first 100 days in office. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
And that leads us to your viewer poll. You can scan the QR code right there on your screen to take part. We want to know, are you worried about the future of the economy? All right, let's take a look. 70% of you say yes and 30% of you say no. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. A discussion surrounding the sale of a historical marker is sweeping through Goliad. On Monday, residents had their say in front of commissioners. Residents heard a presentation from the Texas Historical Commission Executive Director, Joseph Bell. He showed them renderings of the commission's vision for the monument if they were given ownership by the county. There were residents who still had concerns about the sale, not wanting to put a dollar amount to the names of the men who died during the Goliad massacre. While there is no proposal in writing, it's understood that $1 million would be involved with the transfer. Bell says the commission wants to honor the names of those who sacrificed their lives.
And we talked about all the improvements that we would like to see, kind of looking at other historic sites around the nation and how they honor these sacred sites.
Bell says there are more state funds available if the monument is owned by the state, and County Judge Mike Bennett says the process will continue with more town halls and presentations with the commission before the county comes to a decision. And the time is now 6:47 on our Tuesday morning. Still to come on Sunrise. A major development for automakers as the Commerce Secretary announces a new deal on tariffs. All right, it's time to celebrate some birthdays. Happy birthday to comedian, actor, writer, and producer Jerry Seinfeld. Seinfeld turned 71 today.
Ooh, happy birthday, Jerry Seinfeld. And also happy birthday to Michelle Pfeiffer. The actress who rose to fame from her Grease debut is 67 today. Happy birthday, Michelle.
And he can't wait to get on the road again. Country music singer Willie Nelson is 92 today.
Oh, happy birthday, Willie. I can't wait to listen to his music again. He's my favorite country artist. And to see your birthday wish live on 25 News Now Sunrise, just head on over to crossroadstoday.com, click the drop-down menu, then click the home tab, and then you'll see submit your birthday photo.
All right, the time is now just about 6:48 on our Tuesday morning. Happy birthday if you're celebrating one today.
That's right, happy birthday. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, good morning, Crossroads. Like what we were saying earlier, I'm sure you've noticed if you walked out the door for a few seconds, first of all, it's warm and humid out there, but that's thanks to the winds that are out of the Gulf, but also thanks to the clouds that are quite abundant over our heads right now. All that is thanks to the Pacific jet stream that is actually riding all over our heads, providing North Texas, which actually a bunch of thunderstorms up there, and also just a few over their way out in West Texas right along the Rio Grande, which is not coming our way, so don't worry about that. But this is all thanks to this monstrous upper level low pressure system you can see right there spinning counterclockwise. And I say monstrous because here's the end of it and here is the other end of it right about here. But all of these clouds that are moving over us, they're going to be on the decrease today, and that's going to lead me to today's weather poll. Today it's a weather quiz again. Today I ask you which cloud type is not a low level cloud, and I say that because we got all sorts of clouds over us right now. Looks like about right down the middle, 43% are both saying stratocumulus and cirrostratus, and another 14% are voting for stratus. But the correct answer is cirrostratus. That is the only cloud type that is not a low level cloud. That is actually an upper level cloud, a high level cloud, kind of like milky in nature, and also kind of looks a little patchy. But stratocumulus, cumulus, and stratus are all low level clouds that you normally see on pretty much any given day. But thank you all so much for taking part in today's weather poll. For future ones, just go to crossroadstoday.com/vote weather to participate, and I will always read those answers on Sunrise. But like what we were talking about, if you're not a fan of all this warm weather, don't you worry, because we got a big change coming our way real soon. Big change number one is going to come off of this low we were just talking about, but the next big change is going to come off of two other low systems. Here's low number one, or low number two technically, and low number three is right about here. You can't really see it. It's right behind the banner. Those two will bring us the rain chances for later this weekend and into next week. But the first low that is right now over the mountains is going to bring us our rain chances for let's see here, Wednesday, Thursday, and a little bit on Friday as well, mostly for Thursday and a little bit on Wednesday as well. As you can see, Thursday morning, that was 1 a.m. right there on that last frame. That low is going to come off the mountains right there, spinning kind of clockwise, and it's going to send a line of thunderstorms throughout the state, especially impacting North Texas with a level 3 out of 5 risk up there, and then it transfers a little bit further south to a level 5 tomorrow, or level 2 out of 5 tomorrow. And then it moves a little bit further down and closer to the crossroads as we get into Thursday, when I have a chance of 20% of that line moving through the area. And then after that, rain chances continue. And we're going to look at all that and more later on Sunrise.
It appears a deal has been reached with automakers to ease tariffs, and President Donald Trump is set to visit Michigan today. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says it will help manufacturers who are committed to investing in America. His statement did not provide any details on the agreement. The Wall Street Journal reported President Trump is set to announce a new tariff structure for cars that avoids stacking them on top of other tariffs already in place. Currently, there is a 25% tariff on almost all imported cars and a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum, two metals heavily used in auto production. A new study found that phthalates might be much worse than previously known. It shows the chemicals may have contributed to more than 10% of all deaths from heart disease in 2018. The problem is that phthalates inflame coronary arteries, which can accelerate heart disease. The bigger problem is that phthalates are widely used in plastic, so they are everywhere. You can find them in food packaging, clothing, furniture, even children's toys, and exposure can come from breathing or ingesting it. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. A political shakeup north of the border as Canada's election delivers a minority government. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's Liberal Party retained power in the country's election on Monday, but fell short of the majority government he had wanted to help him negotiate tariffs with President Trump. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre conceded defeat to Carney's Liberals and said his party would hold the minority government accountable. And new this morning, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is projecting that Poilievre will lose his own seat in the election. President Trump signed an executive order aimed at protecting state and local police departments. It directs the Attorney General to help provide legal resources to officers who incur certain liabilities on the job. It also calls for increasing officers' pay and tougher sentences for those who commit crimes against them. It also calls on other agency heads to increase military assets to help local law enforcement. President Trump signed executive orders Monday targeting undocumented immigrants. One order directs officials to publish a list of sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities are jurisdictions that don't hold migrants past their release dates for federal detention. The order also authorizes legal action against cities that refuse to comply. The DeWitt County Commissioners voted to lift the burn ban effective this morning. It was put in place on March 24th. Commissioners feel it's not a public safety hazard for outdoor burning in unincorporated areas of DeWitt County. We want to invite you to experience your new digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. And now let's get a final look at our forecast with Parker. Parker, how's that sunrise looking?
Well, this time, just like yesterday, it's nice and cloudy out there. As you can see, lots of clouds over the coast this morning. It looks like we are seeing a couple breaks out there, and I do think we're going to continue seeing more of these breaks in the clouds later this afternoon. But right now, it's pretty cloudy out there, so if you're headed out the door, no need for sunglasses just yet, but maybe later today, get those in mind. Keep them on standby. But with the clouds over us and that Gulf wind, kind of breezy, gusting up to 20 miles an hour at times right now, bringing us a bit of a warm morning. You can see temperatures all in the low 70s. Unless you're along the immediate coast, you are in the mid and even upper 70s, getting closer to Rockport and that warm Gulf water. But today, like I said, it is going to be a bit breezy out there with the winds increasing throughout the day. So make sure, fishers, boaters, if you're going to be going down to the coast today, make sure to be careful and stay safe because slightly choppy waves are going to be around 1 to 3 feet high with those gusts up to 25 knots at times. And that's going to bring your high tide at around 2:28 p.m. this afternoon. And your water is starting to warm back up into the low 80s. But air temperatures are too. I'm thinking about 84 today in Port Lavaca. Underneath that decrease in cloud cover, I was saying same thing for all that in Victoria, but a little bit warmer. I'm thinking 86 today and about a degree warmer than that in Cuero. I'm thinking 87 for today. But go ahead and get used to that because here's your 7-day. We're going to be just like that for the next several days with temperatures highs in the mid-upper 80s. Some might even be the low 90s on Thursday. And then we've finally got rain chances back in the forecast later this week.
All right. Thank y'all for being with us this morning. Join Shauna, Don, Maclovio, and Max today for 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10. Enjoy Good Morning America and have a great Tuesday.